Hey, everybody, Dr. Legrand here, and today we're going to be talking about the best supplements to eliminate ADHD symptoms. And so, when it comes to looking at the right types of supplements to eliminate your symptoms, it does require understanding first off, why do you have the symptoms in the first place, and what are the supplements that are going to help solve that problem. And so, the best way of doing this, from my experience of doing this for many years, we're helping patients with ADHD, especially adults with ADHD, is to look into investigative work of what's going on. What are some things that could be deficient? So, like if you're someone that's possibly having issues of symptoms of, forgetting and having memory issues, there could be some micronutrient deficiencies that could be the best supplements if you have these deficiencies, just like this patient did. So you could see like this patient had low levels of serine and, citrulline as well. But the one I want to kind of point out the most here is serine, because serine does impact someone's memory and forgetting quite a bit. And so the best thing to implement in this situation would be phosphatidylserine. This can help with memory and also with forgetting all the time if you are deficient, just like how this patient was that I had. And as soon as they implemented, their memory did improve. They weren't forgetting so much because it was just that one particular thing that they needed to identify. But what if you are having issues with focus and your lack of motivation, right? So this is very common amongst people with ADHD. So what would be the best supplements in this case situation? So if you are truly do have low dopamine, if that is the case, just like this patient when we tested for them. But also there's something also to point out here is this patient had low tyrosine levels. And so when you see this, dopamine and tyrosine are very important when it comes to focus and motivation, because tyrosine is what makes dopamine. And so some of the best supplements that I like using, there's two different ones, but one of them being, of course, Dopa Boost is a great one. The reason why I like Dopa Boost, there's a few things here, as you can see, is it has vitamin B6, the activated form, so P5P. And you can see that P5P is something that is used as a cofactor for pretty much making dopamine, because it's required for using it to make from phenylalanine to tyrosine to L-dopa, and then from there to making dopamine. So that's a reason why I do like this. The other thing in here too, it has N-acetyltyrosine. So as you know, this person had low tyrosine, so it's important to incorporate some tyrosine in there. So N-acetyltyrosine is a great one to be easily absorbed. The other one here too is mucuna prurines, which mucuna prurines has L-dopa in it, and that also can help make dopamine. The other one is also green tea extract, which L-theanine has been known to cross the blood-brain barrier to help improve dopamine levels. So that's the reason why I really do like this. Another one is called Dopatone Active. It has very similar things, but a few of the things that it typically will have is it also has phenylethylamine in it. So sometimes I'll use that if I feel like we need to supplement that as well. But in this case, you saw that their phenylethylamine levels were elevated. So that's why we used Dopa Boost versus using Dopatone Active. But this is a really great one. So Matt Mittens, it seems like you have a question. We're going to get into questions here in just a minute. Go ahead and put your question in the chat once I finish this training part of it, and then I'll get into questions. So go ahead and put your questions in the chat. Okay, so that is, for if you're having issues with focus motivation, usually generally Dopa Boost or Dopatone Active are going to be some of the two best ones that I've found that have helped my patients and clients. The other one is if you are where I was saying before, sometimes it might not be a dopamine situation that we're dealing with, but in this situation, it's possibly phenylethylamine is low. So sometimes dressing the dopamine isn't going to solve the problem, and it might not be the best supplement. So for this patient, Dopa Boost would not have been the solution. It would have not solved his problem. But what did was actually adding DL-phenylalanine, because he was low in phenylethylamine levels, and that's what does help make improve PEA, and ultimately is what helps this whole process. So that has been also with my own case. I have in the past have been low on phenylethylamine levels, and that has been one of my favorite ones for my own ADHD. Helps me a lot with motivation, focus, as well as even with memory. So I do really, really like that one. Now, what if you are someone that is feeling more depressed and unfocused? What are some of the best supplements? So usually what I will see in this case when I'm running some tests, just like with this patient, is their norepinephrine and epinephrine levels will be low, as well as their serotonin. Are some of the big ones that are you got to be concerned about. It's like, okay, what's going on here? What do we need to be addressing? What are going to be the best supplements to addressing these ADHD symptoms of feeling depressed and unfocused? So in that circumstance, you want to be addressing adding something like 5-HTP, because 5-HTP helps make serotonin, as you can see right here. The other one would be L-tryptophan, is another one to good incorporate, as well as L-theanine to help with norepinephrine and epinephrine. And so those are some really great ones to incorporate to helping if you have these type of symptoms, and especially since if your test results kind of look like this. Okay. Now, what about if you are feeling more stressed, anxious, agitated, and unfocused? What if that's the case? What if you're in that type of situation? Because frankly, that happens a lot with people with ADHD. In fact, about 50% or more people with ADHD tend to have general anxiety disorder. So usually what I will see if this is the case, and it might happen when you are taking your medication and it's causing these issues. And that was the case with this patient, is they were taking an ADHD medication. And when we ran these tests, their dopamine levels were elevated. And the symptoms of having elevated dopamine is you're going to feel anxious, agitated, probably even have heart palpitations. And so if you've experienced this, definitely want to talk to a prescribing doctor to making sure, are you on the right dosage and are you on the right medication? Because you don't want it to having more damaging to the body, which it's common to see cardiovascular issues with stimulant medication. So we just have to be very careful here. And so in this situation, we got to understand, okay, the medication wasn't really, it was actually making things worse. On top of that, there was also the epinephrine levels were low, so it wasn't helping managing the stress. And serotonin levels were elevated, and also GABA levels were elevated. So when those are all elevated, you feel more anxious and agitated and stressed. So what are going to be the best supplements in this situation? There's a few that do help with this. I already mentioned one before, L-theanine, because L-theanine not only does help improve, but it also can help bring it into a natural balanced state. It's a great neutralizer for both dopamine, serotonin, and also GABA. Rhodiola is another one that can help with both serotonin and also dopamine. And then typically when I see this happen is because the cofactors, certain B vitamins, are deficient, just like with this patient it was. And so when they're deficient, adding a B complex can help manage this so it isn't so spiked all the time, because it's not utilizing and breaking down those specific neurotransmitters that is absolutely necessary. Okay. So another really big one to also keep in mind about is, what if you're exhausted and unfocused and stressed? And it's so common with adults with ADHD. And so what would be the best supplements in this situation? Well, we need to look at things, what's going on hormonally. What are some things that are happening here? And so looking at cortisol is usually a good point to check. And you can see with this patient, their hormone levels of their cortisol was really low in the morning, but it spiked in the afternoon and early evening, which made them also feel stressed and exhausted. How can you feel both stressed and exhausted? Well, it happens. And just like with this patient, we had to do treatment differently based off of this, because sometimes it looks different with others, and it does. And that's why it's good to test to understand really what's truly going on. So with addressing this situation, first thing in the morning, we had to use adrenal desiccated, because that specifically helps improve cortisol to give you the energy, but you would not, absolutely not, give it in the afternoon with this patient, which I didn't, because his cortisol levels are high. So that would just make the situation worse. So what we did instead is add cortisol manager, because it has things like ashwagandha, it has magnolia, it also has other, magnolia and ashwagandha and phosphatidylserine, all those things to help lower his cortisol levels to manage it. And that helped him feel not as stressed. He had the energy in the morning. And then because he wasn't so stressed, he was able to have that consistency of his focus and energy throughout the day. But I would have not known that if I didn't actually test for it first. If I would have just guessed, it could have been a totally different story. Because if I would just guess, okay, yeah, let's just, typically we need to add some, adrenal maybe in the morning and the afternoon, and that just would have made the situation even worse. So this is why it's so vital to test and investigate, because you don't know where your body chemistry is at and what needs to be addressed, because you could do some more damage than good. And that's why it's not good to just take random supplements and just hope for the best. You're just shooting in the dark without really knowing what you need to target, right? So, if you would like to get the same kind of results like many of my other patients and clients have, I'd love to help you out, because doing this alone isn't easy. The body chemistry is so complex. It's so difficult to understand really what you need specifically. And so, because like I was saying, the body imbalances are so critical to identify for you as an individual, so that we can address the root cause and help you get the results. And not only with just supplementation, but lifestyle changes to help you get to have that optimal focused mind with your ADHD. And you need that customized plan of action. You need someone's going to analyze and adjust those plans, so that way you can execute and have consistency. And so here's exactly how I can help you out. My health experts and I have set aside time to speak with you personally, to help you actually start getting results right away. And it's called the Focus Mindset Strategy Session. And on this Focus Mindset Strategy Session, we'll put together a specific plan for your situation to help you have better focus so you can excel in life. And so here's exactly how we'll do this together. First, we'll uncover what's behind your ADHD symptoms. What is actually causing your ADHD symptoms to being worse? It's this blind spot that you've never been addressed, because you probably have never had lab testing done, or never looked at your medical history, your whole medical history, understand truly how is all these other things in your medical history contributing to your ADHD situation. Okay. And so then we'll customize a plan of action that will get you unstuck. And then finally, we'll determine if it makes sense for us to work together more closely. And so what the Focus Mindset Strategy Session is, it's either with me or with one of my health experts. And it includes a 45-minute one-on-one strategy session. That's a $750 value. You also, if you do purchase today, you get access to a nutrition and lifestyle tracking app I use with all my patients and clients. That's a $300 value. And if you do purchase today, you also get a bonus access to our ADHD health course. That's a $597 value. So you get that all for a full value of over $1,000. And you get that all today for just $297. So all you got to do is just click on the link in the description below right here. Once you do click on that link, it will take you to this page. You'll go ahead and click on that button. Once you do that, you'll fill out your information. You'll purchase. Now, it's really important. When you do purchase, you still need to book your appointment. It'll take you to this page. So don't forget to do this. You'll click this button. You'll then schedule a date and time, select your practitioner that you want to see. So either with me or with one of my health experts. If you want to be seen sooner, usually there's going to be more availability with one of my health experts, or if you want to work with me, it'll be a little bit later, but you can see what my availability is. And then go, of course, fill out your information right here. And then make sure you actually check your email to confirm your appointment. You also want to activate your Practice Better account. You'll get an email for that. You need to fill out the client questionnaire. Do that at least before your appointment, at least a couple days before. So I have time to look over it, or one of my health experts have time to look over it, to creating your customized, plan and putting that together and understanding what labs we need to do in order to do that. So please fill that out before. Make sure to download the Zoom app, and make sure to block out 45 minutes to an hour. Sometimes we need to go a full hour, depending on how many questions you do have. Show up early. We give you a 10-minute grace period. Otherwise, we have to mark it as a no-show. Also, if you do have a significant other or spouse, please do have them present. We do require that, because we need to understand the outside perspective of the challenges that you're facing within, your relationships. And so that helps us kind of understand that, because it's a decision together. So please do have them present there. So pick a date and time that works best for you guys. So if you guys are seriously wanting to tackle your ADHD, this is the best natural step to be doing, is to finally understand what you need to be doing to understand what's going on with your ADHD symptoms. What is the root cause of your problems? And so we'll help you identify those things. So go ahead and book that consultation, either with me or with one of my health experts. And again, you'll do that in the description below. Thank you guys so much for attending. I'll see you guys in the next live stream. Thanks. Bye.